Did you see that shit? MMA podcast. Hosted by mixed martial arts journalist Mike Strauss, aka Strauss.21, and Chicago's number one underground comedian, Apollo Taj Mahal.
Yo, Mike.
What's up, bro?
You're going to see some shit.
What shit?
I'm going to admit I was wrong about Pena's coach. Yeah, I was wrong about Jason Cutts.
This is why I reserved the right to make judgment on the situation when I did. Because so many people, and I'm not blaming you, a lot of my colleagues, I'm not going to name any, but very prominent MMA media members were and not just one, several were very outspoken about this.
Even fighters were very outspoken about
this. A few fighters that I saw, but for the most part, I think the fighters all had the same stance, and that was the same stance that Raquel Pennington had. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, I don't know why the hell you're listening to the show, but thank you. We're talking about this weekend, UFC 224, and the Raquel Pennington situation between round 4 and 5.
Yeah, so essentially what happened was Raquel Pennington
was getting her ass handed to her for the first 4 rounds by the champ, Amanda Nunes.
And she looked at her corner and said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm hurt. Mm-hmm. And her coach, Jason Cutts,
basically just disregarded it and said, listen, you can rest up later. Now pull through this. Now give me what you got. Which is, listen, in my head, I didn't think anything of it because to me, that's normal. That's fighter talk. I've heard that a million times, right?
Yeah.
This is where I think it all came from. And I love Jimmy Smith. I've had him on the show. One of my favorite people, one of my favorite announcers, thrilled when the UFC had him on. Actually, I was the first person that interviewed him. He was on the Rogan show, and then I interviewed him right after that. Listen, I love the guy. But him and Anik kind of made a really big deal about that. And you got to wonder, if they didn't make a big deal out of that, would everybody else have? Because listen, man, that is fucking normal talk. That's what a corner is there for, to pull you out of times like that. When you want to... Listen, we live in a fucking society. You want to see me, Apollo? This is me.
Here we go!
We live in a pussified society. And this is just more evidence of it. This is a fucking combat sport. Your coach is there to pull you through when you cannot do it. Most fighters won't admit that they've been in that situation that Raquel's been in.
I've been there.
Many have come out and said, yeah, man, I've been there and I've done that. But that's normal. That is fucking normal. If you've never been in a position to where you needed your coach to pull you out, I question if you're a real fighter.
I'm going to come from the stance of an athlete, of someone who's competed, because I agree with a lot of what you said.
And I had a chance to speak with Eric Anders, who is a 10-1 UFC middleweight fighter, fucking phenomenal. He was an athlete at Alabama.
Yeah, he was a beast.
And he pretty much kind of agreed with me, but he also said, listen, if I told my corner to pull me out, it depends on why. I think that's what the underlying thing was.
So from my point of view as an athlete, when it happened, it wasn't Jimmy Smith or Anik saying anything to sway me. I looked at her and I go, she's done. That was the first thing that came out of my mouth.
Yeah, we were watching it together.
Yeah, and I was very passionate after the fight because from an athlete.
You were disgusted. I think one of the adjectives you used was disgusted.
I was disgusted. I'm a guy who wrestled on his ankle after it was torn for 2 weeks. I have been knocked out. I have been beat up. I have trained for years, and I kept getting back up. I was the type of athlete that my coach had to reel me in. My coach had to kick me off the wrestling team because I wouldn't go get surgery on my ankle because I had a state title to win. So coming from that perspective and seeing these fighters and coaching with them and helping fighters get ready for fights, I remember at one point sitting in a corner where I wanted to throw in the towel on a couple of fighters that I was cornering who were my friends.
Listen, I've seen way worse beatings than she was taken.
I've seen horrible beatings.
And I'm not saying you're making a big deal out of it, but there was a lot I wanted to address the other media members here because this is really something that needs to be addressed, man, because they make big deals, and it's the same 2 or 3 guys in the MMA media that do this. They make huge fucking deals out of issues. Is there a debate with these issues? There could be. If logical arguments are used, an intelligent debate could be had. But listen, for the most part, we're taking issues that are inherent to the sport. Like, hey, at times, I'm a fighter, and at times, I'm going to need you to pull me through this. And oh my God, he didn't ask her what was wrong. That was actually, this person that I'm referring to actually said the issue that he had was that he didn't ask why.
I believe it's blown out proportion. I do truly believe it's blown out of proportion.
It's ridiculous.
Watching it was not comfortable for me. Being someone who has seen people in those positions who want to get out, I am the person who loves the boxing way, where the corner saves their guy. There's no reason to take unnecessary beatings. If you are done, you are done. Reason I now am not as disgusted with the coach.
I got to address that argument because people always have that argument, you know? And this is my rebuttal to that argument. You're comparing apples to Ferraris, okay? Yeah, they're combat sports, but boxing is how old? It's over 100 years old, right?
Yes.
It's been evolved. It's been fine-tuned. Yes. We're going on 25 years for MMA, okay? Go back to when boxing was 25 years old.
Oh, they were going at
Bare knuckle. I mean, come on.
So there will be a time where we have that
We're far more advanced than boxing was this far in. That's because we're more advanced as a society, yes, but you got to give it fucking time. Our pay structure is not there, and they're trying to figure out ways to get there. And a lot of guys, like Chuck Liddell was just on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, and Chuck said, I would rather have it be a 50,000 to win, 50,000 to show. I'd rather, knowing I'm a fighter, knowing I can bet on me to win that extra money, I'd rather have that. So us as media members, we can fucking yell all day until the cows come home. But the bottom line is, if the fighters don't want it, why the fuck do we care? So if you haven't figured it out, you're listening to the Did You See That Shit Mixed Martial Arts podcast. I am Mike Strauss, a.k.a. Strauss21. This is Apollo Taj Mahal. He's Chicago's #1 underground comedian. Yeah, we appreciate all love and support, guys. Keep it coming. We're available on all the podcasting platforms, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn app, iTunes, even the YouTube channel, Missing Time Productions. All of our content is there.
You can like, subscribe, rate, all those things that you got to do on those things. Do it. And get the notifications because
those help.
Yeah, on Google Play, mine immediately just gets downloaded straight to my library. And then when I hop in the car, I can listen to our awesome podcast.
Go to the website, didyousee-that-shit.com. Email me, mike@didyousee-that-shit.com. Give us a call, 708-669-4777. And a shout-out to Fight Fit Lifestyle.
Oh, man, I am rocking those sunglasses in my car. I just got them.
Stephen Ocho Peterson is the owner and operator. He's also a badass fighter. He's got a fight coming up against Matt Bissett on the Ultimate Fighter Season 27 finale. So be sure to look out for that. And also stop at Fight Fit Lifestyle for any of your martial art clothing needs. Listen, it's not just for your dudes. It's for your women. It's for young men. It's for children. Everybody. It really is. They have a lot of nice stuff there. Go check it out. FightFitLifestyle.com. Moving along, UFC 224 and Bellator 199 happened this weekend. So we talked...
Same damn time.
Yeah, it was one of those juggling acts we had to do. Nunes and Pennington, we talked a little bit about it early on, but let's just briefly cover it here. Nunes did get the stoppage eventually in the 5th round, TKO.
No one's at our level at 135, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that, does it?
I could have made a case for Holly Holmes a while ago, but she doesn't even deserve a title shot.
The last Shevchenko fight was debatable, so...
Yeah, true.
Maybe that might be the only fight.
But did she go down to 125?
Yeah, that's the thing. She's fighting there now, so...
Ooh, super fights.
Yeah, that's what it's going to look like. And for Pennington, she'll heal up. She's one of the toughest women in the world, period.
She came back from a really bad leg injury, too. So
Gastelum and Souza. Well, this was, wow.
Anything Gastelum can do is amazing.
Again, I sound like a broken record. I'm a huge Gastelum fan. But even though he beat Souza, which fucking shocked me, the way he was able to control him, and, well, you know, ultimately he wore him out, which is impressive all around by Gastelum.
Great cardio.
That's never been his knock. His issue is the weight. Regardless of the win, I like him at 170.
He's never going back.
I think he will. We'll see. He says the next move is a title shot. He says he will sit and wait for it at 185. And then someone who might also struggle with a weight issue, Mackenzie Dern.
Welcome to 125.
She defeated Amanda Cooper, rear naked choke, round 1. She also had probably close to 20, at least 20 pounds on fight day advantage.
Yeah, she put all those 7 pounds into one right hook. And beat up a smaller girl.
Yeah, she did beat a smaller girl. That is a valid point. Her stand-up looked way better than I thought, though. Impressive win. How about Lineker and Kelleher?
There's definitions to barn burners, but someone had a great tweet. Mackenzie and John Lineker proved that making weight and throwing straight punches is for losers. Because I did not see a single straight punch from Lineker that entire fight.
Well, Lineker did make weight for this fight. In the past, he has struggled with that. But I'm telling you, the 135 division, man, is the gift that just keeps on giving. These two went at it for 3 rounds until Lineker finally put the lights out of Kelleher. I really like both of these guys. I'm really high on Lineker. If he can keep making weight, we'll see what's next for him. And then how about Machida defeating Belfort via front kick, round 2? It was like I was living the...
Anderson Silva fight all over again.
It was like the Anderson Silva and the Randy Couture. He knocked Randy Couture out like that, too.
Well, the Anderson Silva fight happened to the same person.
Correct.
And
the same person threw the front kick.
And then the Randy Couture was the last fight for
crazy.
Randy Couture and for Vitor.
7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Oh, my gosh.
Machida looks good these last couple fights.
He needs to stay away from me. I'm scared of him.
Machida?
Yeah.
I'm scared. Belfort is done, he says, for the UFC. He's leaving his fight thing open. Though.
I hope he is retired. I don't want to see him get knocked out anymore. And I do want to say if he is retired and he's done, thank you so much, Vitor Belfort.
I wouldn't mind seeing Vitor go to Bellator, risen somewhere he can be TRT Vitor again. That'd be cool.
Well, if we're getting him back, then of course.
And then shout out real quick to Alexei Olenek, who just unbelievable Ezekiel choked Junior Albini.
At what point do we just start, like, when you get...
rename it.
Yeah, and then also, when you get him as a fighter, do you just go, all right, stop everything.
It's the only thing to try
practice
for.
against Ezekiel chokes.
Bellator 199, Ryan Bader only needed 15 seconds to KO King Mo.
Wow. I thought this was actually going to be, like, a different kind of fight.
I think everybody did. I think Bader surprised himself.
Yeah, Bader was like, wait, did that happen?
I think Bader knew he was going to win. I just didn't think he would thought it was going to go like that. I mean, let's be honest. I think even if you asked him, I don't think he would say he thought it was going to go like that.
No, that was crazy. That was crazy. But you know what?
In a way, it was like a lucky punch. It was kind of like the McGregor-Aldo punch. Like
it's always weird.
McGregor might beat Aldo again, but not like that.
No,
Bader would probably beat Mo, but probably not like that.
Guess what? We're getting Matt Mitrione versus Ryan Bader in the heavyweight Grand Prix. We are almost to the end of this, and someone else was on this card that we'll talk about later that we got some ideas for this man in the heavyweight division.
I really think the Bader-Mitrione fight is probably going to have the inside track to win the whole thing. We'll see.
I believe so, too.
And then John Fitch makes his Bellator debut against Paul Daly. That first round got dicey for our boy Fitch, man.
Yeah, he took a whole onslaught of punches, and then Paul Daly got tired, and then it kind of looked like UFC Unleashed on Spike.
Yeah, Fitch took him down, weird on him, second round, third round, did Fitch's thing. Towards the end of round 3, Daly was booing, and it was, I don't know. Like John Fitch said in the post-fight, he was like, listen, man, if you don't like it, then get up. Figure out a way to get up.
That was hilarious. I don't think Paul Daly understands rules.
How about Aaron Pico? He defeated Lee Morrison with a body shot, minute and 10 in the round 1. Man, this kid, Aaron Pico, might be the best prospect I've seen in a long time.
He is ruining more livers than alcohol.
This is true. He's cirrhosis.
Yeah,
that should be his nickname.
We're
going to be talking to his head coach later in the week. We'll drop that in to see what he thinks here.
I think he'll love it.
How about Czech Congo? You picked that. Czech Congo over Javi Ayala. I thought Ayala would look a little bit better, a lot bit better. But the 43-year-old Congo looked decent there. KO'd Ayala in round 1.
Could he be competing for a heavyweight title soon? Whether he's an alternate in the tournament or actually going to be a title challenger.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think that if he isn't an alternate, he probably will be the first person to challenge for the title, whoever gets it. And he'll be, as you mentioned, about 44 years old when that happens. So it'll be interesting.
You know what's weird? I never thought I would say Czech Congo title shot.
Right. And then Adam Piccolotti defeated Carrington Banks, rear naked choke with 16 seconds left in the fight. And make no mistake, Piccolotti pretty much dominated this fight from bell to the very end. Reached out to him. You said you wanted to try to speak with him. He got in contact. We're going to try to work out a date and get him on, so that should be fun. Someone who used to fight for Bellator, who has been on the show, Steve Kozola. We had a chance to catch up with him and see what he's been up to. Here's our conversation with Steve Kozola. So I want to welcome Mr. Steve, the Thunder Beast Kozola, to the show. Man, he's one of Illinois' finest, and I want to know what he's up to because I haven't spoke to him in a while. What is going on, Steve?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on. Thank you so much for having me on again. And just putting in work, man. You know, obviously I'm enjoying myself as a father. I'm enjoying myself as a husband, which are my 2 main priorities. Love that. But otherwise, working, which is great, teaching martial arts. I love teaching martial arts and training, getting ready for hopefully an upcoming fight soon.
Awesome. Now, are you currently signed with a new promotion?
No, so Bellator did technically release me, but, you know, we're still kind of talking to them to see, because I still technically have a fight on my contract with them. We're trying to see if we can still work out a means where I can fight for them. They have another fight at Pechanga Casino, June 29th, Bellator 201. I would love to get on that. in my home, it's where really close to where I live. I can sell a bunch of tickets. I can, get a bunch of family to go there. So I'm really hoping to get one more shot at Bellator before perhaps having to move on to a new organization. I love Bellator a lot. I've had, obviously my past 2 fights have been really hard, but I've also had previous, really good success with them. So I'm really hoping they'll give me one more shot to go in there, prove myself, and I can really go in there, get a, amazing finish and continue to work for them.
For sure. I think that you will get another shot with them, man. And I was hoping that you were going to be on the Chicago card that they have here, the big 198 card.
Oh, man, I would have loved to, man. I really would, and if my last performance would have gone well, maybe that would have been the case. But, I mean, they have lots of studs coming to Bellator now, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just so many guys that are coming in, a lot of great names that have great following, get a lot of good views and everything like that. So, I totally understand it from their side, their business perspective. I would have loved to come and fight home again. My last time fighting at home was absolutely amazing, fighting at Allstate Arena. I mean, the welcome was just phenomenal. I absolutely loved fighting at home. I really wanted to get on that Chicago card again. But, it's not going to happen this time. That's okay. That being said, I'm still ready, though. If they called me right now and said, hey, we got to fight, I would fly home and, be there to fight at 155 and, no problem. But, it doesn't look like that's going to happen as of right now. So I'm just staying ready. And I'm hoping to get one more shot at Bellator.
That's awesome. And as I said, man, I think that you definitely will. And in your performance at 175, I was there, of course, and I think that was, when I think back on that night, that was one of my highlights, just the way that you absolutely ran through Jake Roberts.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. But, now having, a fight, my last fight, I got caught. I was doing really well against Jake Smith at Pechanga. And, I got caught. So, and so it kind of just, it keeps everything in perspective. I mean, 175, Bellator 175 in Chicago, was such an amazing moment, and, I was living up that high moment of just being there for my family. But, this amazing perspective hit me when I had these past couple losses that I feel like I really know the game much, much more from that hard side, from that devastating aspect of it, because that is a huge part of the sport. It's awesome when you're winning, you're undefeated, you're getting knockouts, you're having these big wins. Man, you're just living the high life. I mean, it's just up and up, and you're feeling amazing. But with these last two, the last one being in Southern California, where I live at now, and having a lot of friends and family there, see you lose and getting finished and getting knocked down under a minute. It's just like, it's so heartbreaking. But then when I think back to my time at 175, I was like, hey, that was my big moment. So sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail, but the point is to keep fighting the good fight and keep improving. And I'm not going to stop, man. I have a good team. I have good people, great support. And, win, lose, I'm going to always show up there in shape, on weight, ready to go, and to put on the best show I can for the fans.
For sure, man. And I know that you will be back. Honestly, man, I was kind of surprised to be frank with you, because you were undefeated and then you ran into Carrington Banks and Jake Smith. Both of those guys are legitimate fighters. It's not like, it's not like you lost to guys that just came out of nowhere. Those are the first losses of your career. This is the only time you've ever had, the first time, I should say, you suffered adversity in your professional career. I was very surprised to see Bellator let you go, because I honestly think you are one of the most talented guys in that division. And there's a lot of killers in that division, as you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, appreciate you saying that. And I agree. And I really think I am. These past two, I didn't have my opportunities, or I didn't take advantage of my opportunities to show that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm just like, I'm like trying to get my fans, to sort of, show some support. I'm like, hey, get me on this Bellator 201 card. Let me, get some redemption, go back to Pechanga, win, and then get me back, back to Chicago, give me another big fight, back home. So I'm really hoping that my manager, Tiki, and I are able to persuade Bellator to get me back for one more, for that one last fight. I'll go in there, show up, put on an amazing performance, and hopefully head back to Chicago soon and, show the fans what's going on over there.
Awesome. Well put, man. And before I let you go, one of the guys you're a big fan of, Dylan Dennis, actually bailed Connor out. And I just couldn't help but to think of your comments at 175 again towards Dennis. That was, the first time he ever was at a Bellator event. And boy, you let him have it. And I really hope we get to see that fight sometime down the line.
I would love to, man. I'll fight that dude at any weight. I don't care. I just want to go in there and show off my skills, and we'll see what Dannon has. Obviously he's known for his jiu-jitsu. He's been training at Straight Blast in Ireland, and Connor is his buddy, and all this other, stuff, whatever. I want to see how he is as a fighter and how he reacts to getting hit in the mouth. So if that opportunity comes, I would snatch on it any weight, anytime, anywhere. Let's go, champ.
Well, I appreciate your time, Steve. Is there anything else that you would like to add? The floor is yours.
Well, just thank you to my coaches and my teammates. Tiki Ghost is my manager and coach, Huntington Beach Ultimate Training Center. All my teammates at Team Quest, all my teammates at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. Thank you all my sponsors: Clinch Gear, Monster Energy Drink, Pure Slabs, Focus Environmental, Quality Environmental. If it wasn't for all these amazing sponsors, I wouldn't be able to live my dream life that I do. Help support my family. It's huge, man. So nothing but love and respect for all my sponsors, my coaches, my teammates, all of them. I just try to be the best I can be to represent all of them well. So thank you so much to them.
All right. So real quick before I let you go, we kind of have a tradition here. If you could you just say, this is Steve Kozola and you're listening to the Did You See That Shit podcast?
Yes. This is Steve Kozola and you're listening to Did You See That Shit podcast.
I appreciate it so much, brother.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
All right. I hope he does get another chance with Bellator, because the only stumbling block in his career has been these last 2 fights, and I really think he's a decent fighter, so I hope they give him another shot. And then how about Chuck Liddell, man? He was on the MMA Hour, and he said that, he's gonna be back. It's not a maybe. He will be back.
Why does Chuck Liddell sound like a crazy old man to me now?
I don't know. He was on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, and he said that, him and Tito actually are going to be fighting, maybe with Oscar De La Hoya's MMA endeavor. They're going to try to get into MMA.
I wish you guys could hear frustration on my face. No, I don't want to see this. I don't want this to happen. Old man need to stop. Chuck Liddell, I love you. If you become a promoter, I will support you. But dear Lord, do not fight Tito Ortiz again.
I might have more interest in this if it was done under Bellator's banner, or if it was done with a company that I know could do it at a certain level. But I don't know what it would be if it was with Oscar De La Hoya, and if it was essentially Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell running the show. I don't know what that would look like. So I don't want it. How about Alexei Olenek? That finish got me thinking. Okay, it's his 11th Ezekiel choke finish. It definitely got me thinking. Some fighters are just known for certain moves, right? Over the years, the more recent years, Ronda Rousey, she was known for her armbar, right? Once she got that on in MMA now, we're talking, it was a wrap. It was over. I mean, she was known for that. Rampage Jackson, to an extent, he was known for his slams back in the day, remember, from Pride?
Yeah. And then you got Conor McGregor left hand. Yeah,
Conor McGregor's got the left. Chris Lieben had a crazy left hand. Certain guys are just known for things. I don't know if he's necessarily known for a slam, but Gerald Harris, he did have a slam heard around the world when he knocked David Branch out cold at UFC 160.
That makes my body shiver.
We also had a chance to catch up with him after his tough defeat at Bellator 198 here in Chicago. And here's our conversation with the Hurricane, Gerald Harris. I want to introduce Bellator middleweight Gerald Harris, 25-6, coming off of it was a tough outing here at Bellator 198, but I thought nonetheless he was one of the highlights of the night. Mr. Gerald Harris, what is going on, sir?
Hey, what's up, man? Sorry, I was been moving a lot at my gym and laid down for a second. I almost missed this interview.
It's all good, man. I appreciate you doing this. You're a super busy man as of late. I want to congratulate you. You signed a new multi-fight deal with Bellator, right?
Yeah, man. Like you said, I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity, and it was kind of a highlight of the evening. Unfortunately, I came up short, but everybody saw that. I was down to fight, man, and I didn't go out there for a paycheck. I went out there to gain some fans and impress Bellator. I just wish I had more time to do it.
Yeah, you definitely did. You did impress, man. And, you mentioned you wish you had more time to do it. I think you said you had to lose 30 pounds in 4 days to make that 188-pound contracted weight, right?
Yeah, it was a lot, man. I can't put an exact number on it, only because I don't know if I'll get in trouble.
Okay.
So in those 3 days, man, definitely a lot of weight. But I'm a wrestler. We're used to it. This water weight. It was hard. It was the hardest weight cut I've ever had.
Wow.
But it had nothing to do with the fight. So I kind of avoid talking about the weight cut because people think I'm making excuses. That fight would have went whatever way, minus the weight cut.
No, I definitely don't think you're making excuses, man. You're nothing but a class guy. Your record speaks for itself, and so does your resume. I'm so excited that you're back in the fold here at Bellator because, I think that right away you're one of the top guys there. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I've told people this. I have retired before and came out, and I have very valid reasons for retiring. But this time, I think I'm more dangerous than ever because I don't want this to come off the wrong way. It's almost like I don't care. I don't care about titles. I don't really even care about winning or losing. All I want to do is go out there. I want to put on a show. I want people to want to watch me fight, and I just want to keep my job. If I go out there and I go 3-3, and it's 3 knockouts and 3 losses, but Bellator loves me and they pay me right, I won't stick around. That my body, fills me to stop. So I'm not worried about title shots. I'm not worried about being in the top 10. But I tell you this, I can beat anybody, in that organization, in that weight class.
Yeah, I think so. I think that you're one of the very best in not just Bellator, but I think you're one of the very best in the world. I'm happy that you're going to get your chance to prove that now. Gentlemen, you mentioned that you didn't want it to come out the wrong way, that you don't care. Now, I know what you mean, though. A fighter that has that kind of mentality is going to be a very dangerous fighter. Do you see that new wrinkle to your game, or that new mindset of just really not caring about anything else except for just doing what you want to do? Do you feel that that's going to take you to the next level?
My next level is I just want to feed my family, and I've had an entire career of kind of fighting safe. I've always wanted to win. I've always wanted to, get the win bonus, all that. But now I think that with my new approach to fighting, I think I'm going to accomplish a lot more. I think that my short submission loss was better than me going out there and laying on him for 3 rounds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't nobody want to see that.
Yeah.
So I'd rather lose a fight where I went out there and swung for the fences and try to take him out and got caught than go out there and grind somebody for, 3 rounds and put the fans to sleep. Because really, man, we are in this for ourselves, but at the same time, without Bellator, we don't have a platform. So my job is to go out there and make people want to watch Bellator.
For sure. What was it like, man, being a part of such a historic card for Bellator? Really, I mean, when you think about it, the main card was it was bananas.
It's funny because a lot of people say, I get nervous only for competition of the fear of the unknown, what can happen in the cage. But as far as being on the big stage, I wrestled in the NCAA championships. I've done comedy shows in front of thousands of people. It wasn't a bad thing. I was more caught up in a moment after my fight. But before that, it was just like, I'm going to go in here. I don't care how big the cage is. I didn't get to walk around the cage or nothing. I didn't get to see the venue before I got there. I was backstage. I walked out. I fought.
Wow.
I just wanted to go out there and I just wanted to put it down, man. I wanted to put on a show. I guess I did, I think the storyline was more entertaining than the fight, It's like, look at this guy on 4 days' notice trying to, knock this guy out. So, yeah, man, it was cool. After I fought, though, I sat in the back. I wanted to cry, but I didn't, only because it ended so quickly and how it ended. And I said, man, I'm at Bellator, and Fedor's about to fight, and they took care of me, and I got dressed and took my ass out there and watched the fight.
Anytime Fedor fights, it's still got that buzz in the air, no doubt, right? It's crazy.
It was unreal. It was like Michael Jordan came out, dude.
Yeah, that's what I compare it to people that don't know the sport as well. That's who I compare it. I compare it to Michael Jordan, because who else, that's the only person you really can compare it to.
Hey, and I got a picture with him when he wouldn't take pictures with nobody.
Wow. Look at that. So you mentioned that you would rather go out the way you did than lay on a guy for 15 minutes. And I just want to say, you're not a guy to make excuses, as you've already, as you already said, but I don't know if there's really any middleweight in the world that could have done what you did and not got submitted by Lovato. Lovato is, I think he's probably one of the 2 best guys in the world at jiu-jitsu. So,
well, I'll tell you this. It was a situation. I can go on the ground with anybody. If you look at my record, I fought Jorge Santiago, who's a black belt. I fought David Branch, who's a Renzo Gracie black belt. Mm-hmm. I fought Fabio Leopoldo, who's a multiple-time world champion. Even in my first few fights as a fighter. It was the situation. It was the fact that we hit the ground early, and I wasn't sweaty at all. Mm-hmm. Me fighting him on the ground dry is almost like going to his gym and putting a gi on. Yeah. He's gonna whoop my ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, straight up. So I was in his world. It was perfect for him. It was like the perfect scenario because he knew the longer the fight went, the harder it was going to be to get a hold of me. And it just happened so quick. You know, what more could he ask for?
Yeah, and plus, you know, you do pack a hell of a punch too. So I'm sure he didn't want to, you know, he didn't want to be on the receiving end of one of those.
No, and I've just, man, I've had a career of really fighting to not get beat, to not get hurt, to you know, make sure I get my other half of my pay. It's just, I was bored. I was bored fighting. I was tired of fighting to survive. Even though I was knocking people out, I wasn't creating a lot of action. I wanted to get it over with, and I was forgetting that it was a fight. It was entertainment. People want to watch, and that's how I get paid. Not just by winning. I just want to go out there and just throw down. And I'll tell you this: I don't like the pay structure of fighting for half your money. I do like the flat pay structure. It's just so more comfortable, you know.
The pay structure that Bellator has.
They have options. You know, you have to earn the right to get flat pay Bellator.
Oh, okay.
So I'll work my way up to that. But I'll tell you, they are cool as hell. Rich and all the people I met, Scott Coker. It almost felt like wrestling again. Like everybody knew me. Like people that were famous knew me. I was like, what? You know what I mean?
Anytime Bellator comes to the Midwest, I cover them, and they do have a very, it's a
home field.
It really is, yeah, it really is.
I didn't feel like I was going to lose my job. Like I felt like I was at an old wrestling.
Yeah.
Everybody knew everybody. We was all there to kick each other's ass and be cool after.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Well, man, I'm glad they took care of you, and I'm glad that you got a new fight deal because, as I said, no bullshit. I think that you, man, if you look at the Bellator middleweight roster now, you're one of the most exciting guys they have from jump. So I'm excited.
And that's what I want to be, man. I just hope my fight's a big one, and they put me back on TV and I can go around. I think people want to see more out of me.
Oh, definitely.
But I do want to say this, man. Everybody I did meet, all the fighters, regardless of what people think of them, everybody was cool. Frank Mir, there was a guy named Dylan Dennis, McGregor's fighter.
Yeah, Dylan Dennis.
I know he has a hell of a personality online, but in person, he was cool as hell. Like he showed me props for my loss, and I mean, he was just really cool backstage. He was an athlete, you know. I know, and I like what he's doing. He's definitely drawing a lot of attention, and I can't blame him. But everybody it was cool. I want to stay there, man.
Well, I definitely think you found a home, man. I don't think you're going anywhere anytime soon. I appreciate your time. Is there anything else you'd like to add? The floor is yours. Sponsors, anything you'd like, man?
Nah, man. I want to thank Bellator for having me. Never saw it coming. You know, I was a free agent. I've had some offers from a lot of organizations, and they gave me the best opportunity to feed my family, man. Thank you for having me. That's all.
Anytime. I do appreciate it, Gerald.
All right, thanks.
All right.
That whole body slam makes my body shiver. Gosh.
Man, if you haven't seen it, go just Google Gerald Harris slam and you'll see it.
You will walk weird.
Yeah, he knocked Ranch out cold. It was pretty impressive. Everybody knows about the UFC. Most people know about Bellator. More people are starting to catch on about ONE FC and Risen and the PFL, right? But there's a little organization called LFA. They put on fantastic cards. A couple weeks ago, LFA 39 happened. One of the young and up-and-coming talented fighters out of Factory X in Colorado, Brandon Raw Dog Royval. Had a chance to catch up with him. Very talented cat. His last fight at LFA 39 ended in the first round, just like a minute into it or so, because it was a freak injury that his opponent suffered. It was like a dislocated. It was pretty gruesome looking.
I think I saw that, and that I don't like watching those things, so.
Regardless of how that fight ended, this kid is super talented, and I know he's going to make it to the big show soon. Here's the interview with Brandon Raw Dog Royval. I want to introduce Brandon Raw Dog Royval to the show. He is a professional fighter, 7-3. Just fought at LFA 39. Man, you had a very impressive victory. I know it was only 40 seconds, and it was via injury, but you still lit Jerome up there.
Yeah, man, I felt like everything was going right into place, man. I didn't even notice what exactly happened at the time, but yeah, I felt like everything was pretty much right on to the point where it all wasn't going on, I guess.
I saw in a social media post, you said you didn't even realize the extent or really what had happened to his shoulder until you watched the replay. What did you think when you saw that happen?
Me, I thought he was just trying to make space, man. I thought he was trying to make space to get away. When I saw the replay, I didn't know what the hell to expect. I I don't know, man. When I saw replay, I was just like, oh shit, that's what happened. Like, it's not what I like. I don't know. It's not what I saw happening or what I thought happened, or in any of the situations that I kind of just even played over in my mind before the fight that could have even happened. So it's like a weird freak accident.
Yeah, that's one of those things you never really, you never plan for, never really expect. You know, it just when it happens, it's like it's shocking. But
yeah, even watching it on video, I still don't know what the hell happened to his arm or how the hell it happened. Or
yeah, it's weird because it was one of those freak things, man. Like that probably wouldn't happen again in 100 attempts. You know.
Yeah, agreed.
So, what got you into fighting, man? You're a young kid. You're 25. You're going to be 26 in August, and you're super talented. You're fighting at Factory X. You guys are producing a lot of rising up and coming prospects. What got you into the sport?
What got me into fighting? Fuck, man, I've always been interested in like boxing and stuff. And what got me into that is, I guess as a little kid, I was always like a shit talker, and I just everywhere I went, man. My dad, my brother, my uncles are like, you better learn how to fight, man. You better learn how to fight. You talk way too much shit. You better learn how to fight. Someone's gonna kick your ass. So I think just fear out of that got me into boxing, and like where I just got obsessed with boxing a little bit. And then my brother and I were boxing constantly, and all of a sudden he started adding in submissions and stuff into it. So what the hell is all this? So I started getting choked out before I ever even knew how to tap. So kind of had to make that quick adjustment and start learning a little bit of jiu-jitsu. So we stopped fast forwarding through like all the ground game in the UFCs when we used to watch all the UFCs and stuff, and just got a little more into it. And then from there on out, man, I've just been obsessed.
How long have you been training?
I've been training since I was 16 years old, so I've been training for almost 10 years. Yeah, just I'm like literally. I've had a couple injuries, but from there on out, I've been playing competitive sports. So as soon as I decided to train at 16, it was like full on competitively. Training every day, putting in all the practices and stuff. So just playing competitive sports kind of gave me that upper hand with all that too.
Yeah, for sure, man. Sports is I think it's so important for young kids for a multitude of reasons, you know, like the work ethic. And then I believe it's very important for their self-esteem. So, you know, being a father of myself, I'm trying desperately to get my kids involved in some kind of activity, man. So that's
even like martial arts, would you push them that way? Or
100%.
Does that change as a father? Yeah, I think martial arts gives you a lot of confidence. I think as a martial arts, when I was like 16 and stuff, even when I was like learning that, it gave me like enough confidence to not be afraid to even like pull over to the side of the road and help someone change a tire. Cause like, well, if worse comes to worse, I could probably choke this dude out or whatever have you kind of situation. So it actually like even like opened up to make me a little bit better of a person and make myself like, I guess, vulnerable in those situations.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, man. You know, you've been doing this for a while, as you said. I noticed that it looks like about half of your fights are at bantamweight and half of them are at flyweight now. Are you going to stay at flyweight?
Oh, yeah, no, I make flyweight easy. The only reason I have any fights at bantamweight is just not able to get any fights at flyweight.
Okay.
Yeah, even as an amateur. As an amateur, I was supposed to make my 125 debut like when I was in high school, and I never found a fight, man.
Is it hard for you to find fights now?
I'm signed with Alpha, so I guess not necessarily, but even now, man, like I'll never fight in Colorado. I don't know. Yeah, it's just always been pretty hard. I feel like I'm a hard guy to get matched up with because at flyweight I'm 5'9", and I'm the size of a normal man at flyweight. So it's just weird, and I have like a pretty, I don't know, style-wise, I don't think I match up really well with too many people. So it's really hard for me to get fights at flyweight.
That's something I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, man. You got 6 or is it 7 first-round finishes now? I'm not sure if they probably count that last one.
I have 6 first-round finishes and then 7 finishes altogether. I think the interesting part about that is if you include last week's as a win or a finish or whatever you have in that situation, is I have 3 fights in less than a minute, I'm pretty sure, as a pro. As a pro, I have 3 fights where like I don't think I got touched.
So would you consider yourself a fast starter?
Yeah, I just consider myself, and I think that is true. I think a lot of it just comes up as me just like, all right, let's get this shit kicking and just go kind of rush the cage a little bit. But that being said, even as like an amateur, man, I had all finishes, first round except for my first fight, which was like a minute and a half in an amateur round, so it was still less than 5 minutes to finish.
Wow. I mentioned Factory X, that's where you're training out of. Who are some of your favorite training partners there that you get to roll with?
My favorite training partner, like my lifelong best friend, man, has been John Allen. Me and him been training together for my whole entire 9 years of training. He was the perfect opponent for Jerome because he's
6 foot tall. He's a bantamweight, but he's still just like a really good striker. His jiu-jitsu, he's a purple belt. So he was my main training partner for this fight. But I have a lot of great southpaws to kind of mimic Jerome a little bit, and not necessarily mimic them because of what I think that they brought to the table is better. And then of course I had Sid Bice, who's just coming off an LFA title shot, and he's amazing.
You guys have one of the best up-and-coming camps. I say that up-and-coming even though a lot of you guys are already pros, but I don't think the average fan knows too much about you, but they will very soon. All of you guys, man, just a row of killers. So I can't wait to see what you guys got next. Now, let me ask you, man, what is your goals? What's next for you? Obviously, you're going to try to make it to the big show.
Yeah, by the end of this year, I want to be fighting at the highest level. I think I've showed myself to be the most dangerous flyweight that is outside the UFC. And even when it comes to the UFC, man, I don't think a flyweight's hit as hard as me. When it comes down to even 35, when I was fighting at 35, every opponent I've ever stood up with longer than a minute, I've dropped. I think when it comes to striking, I hit harder than any flyweight. And then when it comes down to the ground, I'm way more dangerous. I don't think my guard's ever been passed that whole entire scenario, man. I don't think anybody's ever passed my guard, ever had me in any real danger. So as far as as flyweights go, man, I think I'm as dangerous as it comes. I give anybody in the UFC a shot at their money.
I think it's just a matter of time, man, before you're there, because you have everything. You have the look, you have the skill, you have the talent. So I'm excited for the future of Brandon Royval for sure.
Yeah, me too. I just got to keep turning heads and making highlight reels on people, man.
For sure. Well, there's no doubt you're going to do it, man. The floor is yours, man. If you'd like to shout out your sponsors, anything you'd like.
Yeah, man. I just want to give a big shout out to Turk House. They have helped me a lot, especially with and then after the training or after the fight, man. Really supportive and all that stuff. So big shout out to Turk House and Flow Club BJJ, man. If you guys have never seen any Flow Club BJJ shirts, if you're a jiu-jitsu fan, they make some amazing attire and they're really creative with it. And just a couple of jiu-jitsu dudes having fun making a bunch of shirts and clothing and stuff. So, but other than that, man, I think that's all I want to give out for sponsors.
Well, I appreciate your time, man.
All right, I appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
There you go. So what do we got coming up here, Apollo? We're going to do the week. Of course, we got the live stream coming up, but you had a brilliant idea to let everybody in on before you saw that shit.
Yeah, so there's a lot of weird moments that happen before we do the podcast because we're doing sound checks. Sometimes we're just talking, we're waiting.
He's playing with his butthole.
You know, that kind of stuff. And
his own butthole.
And I always found it funny because Mike is quite a character sometimes. And I made the suggestion that, hey, maybe we need to let you guys in more into who we are. So we decided that we will be doing a pre-show, I guess, video podcast on our YouTube Missing Time Production, where we'll just be talking and hanging out right before we do the podcast, checking our levels and everything like that. And it will be called Before You Saw That Shit Podcast. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We say a lot of crazy things. Well, we were just arguing about right before we sat down about something. Oh, you were telling me that weed is the most magical thing in the world. And
so I hear.
Yes. So we hear, and I go, yeah, why is it legal? We can make hemp. There's hemp houses. And then last week we had a giant conversation about how you should spank your kids. We have crazy conversations because we're not quite normal people. So why don't you guys come check that out? It will be on, not this week, next week's episode.
I don't recommend this for anybody listening. My cousin DeAndre, he was driving on the west side of Chicago smoking a blunt, and he was receiving oral pleasure from a woman. And the car got sideswiped, and he died, and he didn't know if he was coming or going.